All right, well, let's give our next, I guess you could say, contestant a call on who wants to be a Dota 2 co-caster, the new show that I just made up this very second. But calling him in, and we'll see what he's got. This is Rainmaker, everybody.
How
Hey,
you
man,
doing?
how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good.
All right, so everybody, this is Rainmaker. I'm obviously still Blaze casting, hasn't changed, so I'm going to be casting some Team Liquid in-house games with this guy. But tell me a little bit about yourself, man.
Oh well, I guess I've been playing Dota for maybe 4 or 5 years now. I used to do a lot of casting for Warcraft 3, but because of school and other time commitments, I haven't been able to really continue in Dota 2. And I'm pretty excited to go and be casting again.
Very, very cool. So, as far as Warcraft 3, what kind of is it just like 1v1 tournaments and stuff like that? Played a lot of ladder back in the day, but I don't really didn't know too much about the pro scene.
Yeah, I used to just go and cast a bunch of Chinese reps. I was when I started getting into the pro scene, that was around the time that eHome took ESWC without dropping a match.
Wow.
And I was just really impressed. And I'm like, holy shit, I need to know more about this. And I just got caught up in players like Yafits and ZSMJ, so it was pretty cool.
Very, very cool. Well, I'm sure that'll translate a little bit into this. And did you say you prefer to do an analysis for this, or?
I'm pretty good. I'm just generally as a person more analytic. So you can go and deal with the play-by-play, I guess.
Sure.
I haven't done a co-cast in maybe 2.5 years, so just guide me.
All right, no problem at all. I mean, I'll take it off, and feel free to jump in whenever I tone down a little bit. Obviously, just back and forth. I'll try to give you about half breathing room to talk, but I dominate a little bit too much. I think I'm going to try to tone it back as best I can, but always action going on in these things, so it's hard to say. Anyway, starting off things, we have Dr. Chopper drafting up on the Radiant here. Loves his solo mid heroes with a Storm Spirit, Rubik, whatever he can pick up, and we're going to see something pretty quick out there. I actually might see like a funny little respect band coming out from Stancil, banning out the Storm Spirit outright just to piss him off, but one way or another, we'll get this going, and Stancil, very good player himself, really good initiator playing puck and things along those lines. So expect a lot of out of these teams. They seem pretty balanced for what I'm looking at here. And A-Star Wolf, one of the guys I was casting with yesterday, actually picking up a slot for the in-house as well. So we'll get this going and hopefully have some fun with it.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I'm actually surprised to go and see the Anti-Mage in the first band stage. I'm sorry if you mentioned that. I had to go and mute the co-caster thing. But Anti-Mage coming into first bands, did you say that was a respect band?
Oh no, actually
Or...
the Storm Spirit right here, the second band
Okay.
for the Dire, that's complete respect for Dr. Chopper and a little bit of annoyance for him.
I'm sure the Storm Spirit's a great hero to play. It's so much fun to just zip around and do everything. But Anti-Mage, in banning in the first stage, I don't quite see the reasoning for it. But if you could go and shed some light, you've seen these people play. But I just don't feel right now that he is as strong of a carry as he used to be, especially given that teams are focusing more on just pushing down towers and ganking very aggressively. And while the blink goes and gives him some survivability, he's not getting enough time to farm up those big items that he wants. Because I feel like Anti-Mage performs best when he goes and has, a couple 6k plus items.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, his mobility is reduced a little bit, and in general, he's just been a carry that he's not going to be able to lock some people down until at least he picks up that Manta style. He can farm very, very fast, and he has a lot of potential in the hands of a really, really good carry player, but as far as first band material, I agree with you, I don't really think so, but I think a lot of people are wondering right now, what is first band material right now? I think in 6.75, they did a really good job rebalancing everything, making the top tier just a little bit lower end, and bumping up the weakest heroes to kind of make it a little bit more confusing what is. I mean, Darkseer, Batrider, and Jakiro are definitely really high up there in my mind. They haven't been picked up or banned out thus far, but even so, it's really hard to say exactly what is the most ban-worthy hero in this, and I really couldn't say.
Yeah, right after this, it's that 0.75 parity patch is pretty crazy. And also, you'll notice that some heroes have just kind of faded out of the way completely. When was the last time you saw a Furion get picked, right?
Exactly.
There's some like naturally powerful heroes that people are just not seeing as much. And this is actually a really interesting pickup. I think whoa, is that... Did your stream just start for me? Okay, there we go. Sorry about that.
No problem.
It just unpaused. But I really like what both teams are doing here. They're just... with the Tidehunter and the Windrunner, you basically are saying that you're going to have... Tidehunter is going to give you a decent mid-game presence. Windrunner is going to give you, great lanes, I think is the best thing about her. And she's going to allow you to also have that extra damage that you will not get out of a 3 when you're talking in terms of farm order.
Mm-hmm.
So... And they're not kind of revealing. They can go into a big team fight strat, right? Or they can kind of just have that Tidehunter to allow them to counter-initiate and then go into a pretty hard carry. So that's really cool. Also with Crystal Maiden first, again, I think that's a little bit of an interesting pick, but like how would you say that Crystal Maiden fares in terms of supports right now? Because I feel that she's always going to be strong, she's always going to be very powerful, but I don't know if I could say that Crystal Maiden is better than Jakiro in this patch.
Yeah, I actually have to agree with you there. I think Jakiro is probably the best support in my mind. Just that Ice Path is so powerful with its short cooldown and its low mana cost. But one thing Crystal Maiden does excel at is just kind of controlling aggressive initiators, especially Bat Rider. I've seen a lot of it where he jumps in, he picks up the Blink Dagger pretty early on, jumps in and does the lasso, and then from there he usually pulls back to his teammates. But if you get a Frostbite on for an extended duration, there's really very little he can do. So she has always that presence that she had in the lane. She's a very good babysit hero in general. But along with that, the freezing field got buffed, so if they don't stun her out of that, that has some high potential. And although she is not as aggressive as the Jakiro, I think she might be a more reliable turtle carry or turtle support for a harder carry.
That makes a lot of sense. Actually, another really weird thing is we're seeing a Shadow Fiend pick up right after a Vengeful Spirit, and Shadow Fiend's an amazing hero, right? And I think these days it's after you've seen the new phase boots into like Django Manta build, right? Skipping Blink, or you can go Blink and then just pick up the standard, Butterfly and all that stuff. But picking that after a Vengeful Spirit is very ballsy, because normally that swap to go and stop that BKB ult is going to cause some problems, and that's a very bold pick, I guess, but the damage potential of Shadow Fiend is absolutely insane. So it's cool to see. It's cool to see.
Yeah, that Requiem is not nearly as reliable. Even if he does pick up a BKB, you can still swap it out and not only interrupt it, if she gets to the level 11 or 16 mark, pull him into a really bad spot where he's almost useless and subject to just doing his long-range raises and a couple auto attacks there. So we may be seeing just a more auto attack damage build on Shadow Fiend, and that'd be more appropriate there. One thing that I really like about his recent changes, the half Requiem that he gets when he dies. Not only have I seen his ultimate picked up a lot sooner, not necessarily level 6, but closer to like level 8 or 9, and along with that, he also, if he gets any kills with the half Requiem itself, he gets those souls right back. So I've seen multiple times where he's sitting at 36, drops down to half, and then immediately jumps back up to like 30 souls or something like that, just because it's 10 per hero kill. And that can really negate the fact that Shadow Fiend used to be the most gankable hero, not only in the fact that he has no escape mechanisms, but also he is so vulnerable that he loses more than any other hero when he dies, those charges being so important for his general kit. But if he dies now and gets those right back, then it kind of negates that weakness that he has as a hero, and I really like that as a potential to set up a lot of follow-up kills for his teammates as well. So it's a really interesting combination. I think if the Ravages are really good, that it could mean a lot. But the problem is the Vengeful Spirit and Crystal Maiden are very good roaming, ganking supports where they can get the Magic Missile off, the Frostbite, all these disables, and try to catch Shadow Fiend out of position. So it's really going to be in the Radiant's hands how much they can gank up on the Shadow Fiend, whether he goes safe lane or middle, of just how much pressure they can put on him to prevent him from getting into that late game monster.
Yeah, definitely. I also really one great thing about Team Skrillex is that they're going and banning out junglers here, and with the kind of lanes, like let's imagine that either Shadow Fiend's going to be mid or in the safe lane, and safe lane Shadow Fiend doesn't need a lot of babysitting, especially because he's probably going to be going up against a Darkseer. So they're going and by not allowing what's the Sentinels team? Team Skrillex versus.
It's just, they don't have teammates. It's just this whole group where there's a bunch of community members. So I just call them Dire.
Okay, wonderful. So, but if they went and gave, Chen, let's say, then you can have a really deadly roaming party between the Tidehunter and the Chen to go and gank around. And I think preventing that from happening is going to give them time, and they're using that time to go and farm up a Void, which is pretty cool. I was actually going to say that if they wanted to go do something a little bit more unconventional, if you could farm a Sven with that lineup, with the Crystal Maiden, the Vengeful Spirit, and a Darkseer, a farming Sven would be pretty potent, because you're committing yourself, you can't go that late game, right? But the amount of nuke damage you have, the setup from Vacuum, and just the fact that at level 11 with a BKB Mask of Madness, Sven is a complete monster right now. Before teams, I think Ice's old team used to do that before he's on, before he moved to Dota 2. They used to go and farm up a Sven, and it's pretty strong, and with the new changes, it's fairly unstoppable early game.
Yeah, that God strength increase is just really strong, and the cleave with Darkseer and the buff from the aura, I definitely could see what you're talking about there, by far.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay, what do you think about this Nyx assassin? Because I think we're going to see a mid Nyx here, and it's going to just play havoc with this Vengeful Spirit and this Crystal Maiden. They're going to have a terrible time. There's going to be a lot of pressure on them to pick up sentries, and that is going to really hurt their kind of ganking potential, because if you're buying sentries, you're not buying smokes. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So it's going to put them in a more defensive mindset, trying to keep this Faceless Void alive. There's two things that I kind of like, a positive for the Nyx Assassin and also a con for them picking it up. First of all, there are a lot of really squishy supports on the team. Crystal Maiden and Vengeful Spirits are just food for Nyx Assassin as Vendetta. If they don't see him come with the sentries and get an early Frostbite or missile, then he's just going to be able to chomp on through them and pretty much two-shot them with his combination of spells. But there are a couple negatives as well. He isn't really going to be going 1v1 up against an Intellect hero, as he generally prefers. I'd love to pick Nyx against a Storm Spirit or an Invoker, get a lot of damage out of that mana burn now that it's been newly buffed. And although he is rather survivable with that Spike Carapace, it will be difficult for him to go up against this Night Stalker 1 versus 1. Also, the Faceless Void with his backtrack is one of the few carries that has the most potential to completely screw over Nyx Assassin's gank potential up against that carry. If he lucks out, that backtrack will just completely destroy his burst potential, based on the fact that he puts so much front-heavy damage into like 2 or 3 abilities.
You know, another really interesting thing is, we saw the Night Stalker pickup, and then immediately afterwards, so we have, do we have Sentinel on top and Scourge on bottom, or is
It's actually Radiant as the bottom team, and Dire is up top.
Okay, thank you. So immediately after seeing the Night Stalker going and pick up, which is a very aggressive move, Dire goes and grabs a Shadow Demon, which is probably one of the best defensive supports in the game. Between Tidehunter and Shadow Demon, it's going to be very hard for Radiant to go and initiate on them, because what are you going to do? Disruption, Ravage defensively, then you don't know where the Nyx is. Shackle Shot on 2 heroes is pretty insane. This is a team that fighting in the woods is probably unfightable. You can't fight them in the woods. You need to go and be able to pick them off one at a time.
Alright, one thing Tedden has mentioned, and it's not a really big deal, probably only have like 2 spectators in-game, but if you go into audio, you can open up your mic to be open mic and maybe reduce your threshold or whatever. I can't hear you because I muted it, and so that won't be a problem, but in case he wants to hear it, or a couple others in there do want to, that's general what you do. But yeah, Dr. Chopper actually picking up the Night Stalker is really good at solo mid. He put a lot of items into it early on, though. Double Gauntlet, although it helps on Earn, it's going to be an issue in the fact that he won't get that bottle extremely quickly, and with Nyx Assassin going for the standard, well now standard at least, 3 branch and 1 tango build will get his bottle extremely quickly. And I guess that's okay, because Night Stalker being during the daytime so very immobile, 295 MS, and very extreme lack of visibility early on. I guess he's not going to be able to contest the runes in the first place, but I figure Sofa King and Vertex picking up a Crystal Maiden and VS, they could help him out with that a little bit. But one way or another, it's going to be him delaying his bottle, going for that Earn, and more base damage. So he'll be able to win the last hits, perhaps, but going to have an issue when it comes down to rune control and sustainability therein.
You know, another interesting thing, we've been talking about the defensive potential of the supports on Sentinel, but they also are very potent as kind of a roaming party, and with this early smoke on Vengeful Spirit, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to go for a pick for top and try to go and ease the pressure on this Darkseer, because Darkseer, he's very strong, but if you can keep him at level 1 for a bit, then he's really hampered, because he wants that level 2 Ion Shield to actually get creeps, otherwise he can just get denied out of lane.
Now, what do you think about this 1 versus 1 situation they've already set up with Aoic versus the Windrunner? I mean, I know the supports are going to roam down there after they try to pick off the Nyx in mid, but the question is, if they're delaying their time period of coming down here, will Windrunner get an early advantage, or will the solo experience be perfectly fine for them to get out of that? And is that smoke even necessary? They're kind of flanking already, but I guess they did walk by that Dire Ward. Now Nyx has no idea what's about to come in. The Void does go on through to slow him down. Now probably a Frostbite to slow it. Yeah, it's going to be First Blood for sure. Crystal Maiden actually picking it up, so a lot of Ward and flying courier money out of that, but one way or another, they get the First Blood. That's a really good momentum shift for them, slowing down the Nyx and getting Dr. Chopper some nice experience, actually forcing Nyx to TP back, and that's a real chunk of gold that he lost right there. He started off with 350, and now he's down to 260, which, I mean, that's what you don't want, obviously, when you're trying to rush that bottle. So now he's rank 1 mana burn, now he's going to pick up a stun, but Dr. Chopper are having a nice advantage in the lane, just getting that assist gold.
And in bot lane here, we've got, they're just back in action, is that I thought they were going to try to go do something with that Invis but without the Crystal Maiden in position, they weren't able to get through. But they are going now, and let's see if she's going to get in range for the Frostbite. No. not quite.
Nope, with that wind run, pretty good reflexes from Nobu, making sure. I mean, it's not really reflexes, it had a
Yeah.
very large window of opportunity. I think Suffocating could have waited about 2 seconds longer, waiting for Frostbite to be in range, but one way or another, the invisibility did put out some pressure, scared Nobu off, and that just gives even more breathing room for Yoika to put down the pressure. Didn't even pick up a Stout Shield, doesn't need it, has the Quelling Blade, and just is free to last hit, and keeps sustained regeneration going on, so he can pick up his Ring of Health and go for that Battle Fury, free farming as fast as possible, and trying to beat Stancil in the farm game, but right now, doing pretty well for Stancil himself. On Shadow Fiend has 12 souls right now with the Necromaster charges plus 24 damage, no problem last hitting at all, and that's mostly because he's uncontested. Look at the top lane, it looks like a Star Wolf is actually going to transition to the jungle and mostly just focus on that because he knows he cannot contest that lane up top up against the Tide Hunter and the Shadow Demon. It's just such a powerful combo, Disruption and Gush, slowing you down, getting hurt really hard, and the negative armor on top of that, so he's fearing for his life and just going to say, I don't need to worry about them pushing down the tower, they don't have a push lineup, I'm just going to focus on the farm where I can get it.
Right, and here I think since we've got an interesting situation because Dire kind of naturally has advantages when it comes to tri-laning because they have a little bit more abusable pull camps, but here Radiant doesn't actually need levels on their supports as badly as this Tide needs to hit 6. There's nothing worse than going in 14 minutes and your Tide's level 5. You can't actually, the game changes completely as soon as Tide goes and grabs Ravage. So I really hope that they kind of focus pulling experience onto him and kind of, because Eridar wants levels, but he doesn't need them. So Disruption gets better, but it's amazing at level 1. So I really hope they try to go and focus getting the experience on this Tide Hunter.
Absolutely, completely agree with you there. Now, in middle lane, I was talking about the disadvantage of picking up the gauntlets and not getting that bottle as quickly. But right now, because of that first blood circumstance, they actually got bottle almost at the exact same time. Now he's controlled the first room with the illusion, and from there, he's going to have so much more mana available. Even though the mana burn is being spammed on Dr. Chopper, there's only so much coming out of it as it scales based on the Night Stalker's intellect, which is only sitting at 22 right now, not bad at all. H7 and Lightbringer really need to help out this Nyx if he's going to start steamrolling, because that's the name of the game for Nyx Assassin, is to snowball out of control with very powerful ganks by having a level advantage. And if he can get denied too much, if he gets forced back once or twice, he's going to have a bad time. But this is where it comes into play. Lightbringer and H7 coming up towards the mid lane, looking to get an initiation on him, and like you said, the disruption, amazing. Starting off with the stun, the impale goes on through. Now, no disruption, pops the illusion rune instead, but there's the disruption. Following with the gush, H-Stab going to take a few tower hits. Lightbringer too, actually misstep, voids down, and that's not what they were looking for. Is he going to survive? Bottle charge is getting him out of there, and they don't have the mana to pursue. That was miserable, and now H-Stab is even in a poor spot right now. He's going to try to go for another void, rank 3 void again. If he's so low on HP, if Nyx falls down here, it's... Okay. Like he has at least gush, so he didn't get 2 out of it, but that was still really the worst gank. That was not what he's looking for at all.
And no, now that's an earn. He's probably going to be able to even grab boots before first night, and it's just going to be an absolute terror for everyone. Because this Night Stalker, okay, luckily the Nyx goes and able to grab a double damage bot, so he's going to be able to get back in lane. But this Night Stalker is getting tons of experience. He's got the levels he needs, and I don't know how safe this Shadow Fiend is going to be. Tremendous, really a good farm. Not completely bananas out of this world, but very good farm, going for Nakilla, which I think is smart, given that, he's going to have to be in fights, because Night Stalker is going to come to him, and with no escapes on the Shadow Fiend, damage isn't going to be enough, Damage isn't going to be enough to go through this first night. He needs to be able to grab a Manta, he needs to go and finish his treads, because he's a very gankable hero, if you understand what I'm saying.
Exactly, yeah, by and large, absolutely. He's just, he's very vulnerable at this stage, and he's definitely going to be open for that. I mean, he's farming pretty well, but, oh yeah, actually, they were trying to push her Windrunner over and over and over, but with that Windrunner, it's really hard to lock her down. It only costs her 100 mana. She has that Basilius now, so her mana regeneration sustained. She'll keep that up and available, and although they keep on pressuring her back, zoning her out, she's still getting a decent amount of experience. Her experience per minute sitting at 230, which is just below Faceless Void himself, so the tri-lane actually sapping as much experience out of their own carry as it is over the 1v3 hero, the Suicide Lane, the Windrunner that they have been zoning, and that's not really working out in as much as they'd like it to be. I mean, still getting the Void farm. He is sitting at 24 last hits, could be doing a bit better, but she's doing what she needs to and has plenty of regen to sustain and set up shop there for quite a period of time. The Wave of Terror not even taking off the... It's 5 seconds left on the Clarity Potion. But anyways, nighttime has finally occurred. And Nightstalker actually picking his ultimate up at level 6, so he'll only have 1 point in Hunter of the Night for the time being, but he does have quite a bit of a farm advantage, as you mentioned, that Urn giving a lot. If he can start with 1 kill, he can start steamrolling through this night, and this is where Radiant really take the lead. Oh, nice.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's so bad, but the Vendetta comes on through.
Yeah. That was good twitch reflexes there, because if that frostbite went down, he was dead 100%.
The silence would have followed immediately after the fact, and that was plenty of time for them to burn him down really, really quickly. But he got the vendetta off, and very fortunate for him. Otherwise, he would have dropped down. And given that, what I was saying, the 2 charges of the urn to set things off to start steamrolling, A-Star Wolf trying to go 1v1 up against Stancil for the time being, doing all right, but he's having a hard time up top, and we'll need some pressure coming out from Vertex roaming alongside the Night Stalker, Dr. Chopper.
Yeah, we're going to see a problem pretty soon, though, because you'll notice that while the supports on Dire are still level 2, we've got level 3 supports with, like, a healthy amount of HP. They've got boots up, and that's not going to be great for Nyx, because Nyx really just wants to be going and eating these supports. Because otherwise, like you said, if he doesn't start steamrolling, it's going to be a huge problem. And I'm really worried for Dire, because if they don't get levels on this Tidehunter pretty soon, he just hit 3. He doesn't have boots. It looks like he's being the primary warder. And with 3 branches, he's naturally a very tanky
Going
hero.
on Nyx in mid, they already silenced him up. It will expire shortly. He has already popped the Carapace and now stunning out a little bit. Trying to put a stun onto Dr. Chopper. Does not work. Oh, he canceled it, actually. Now Bottle's going across entirely, but now the Vendetta is up. Dr. Chopper has a very, very large health pool, though. Instead, Dizzy coming in to try to get the shackle off. Did not work, but the stun might be enough. A little bit more damage is all they need. Try to drop him down. Windrunner has the range. Power Shot will do the trick, and Nobu picks up a kill onto Night Stalker. It's a really big kill, considering that was their only level 7 on the Radiant, and they just gave the experience to do the Nyx Assassin, the Windrunner.
Really good there. I'm curious now, though. The Darkseer's gone back top.
Oh, Vertex in mid. Oh, Lightbringer, if he had disrupted there, that would have been a dead. But anyways, what are you saying?
Yeah, they've gone and moved the Darkseer back top, and he's doing fairly well for himself. But they need to go and put pressure on the Shadow Fiend, because now that he's got treads, he's a little bit more survivable. And if they don't deal with him, given that Void doesn't look like... Oh, well, no, sorry. I'm curious what he's going to buy. Is he giving me a Ring of Health now? Come on, tell me, let me know. Okay, so he is going Battle Fury, but I was pretty suspicious early on with I thought he might just finish his treads and try to go more aggressive, but now that he's a Battle Fury, Void is going to outcarry Shadow Fiend in the late game, but around 30 minutes, right, after, maybe a BKB and a Mana Style, or, add a Blink as necessary, and here's the gank.
Up top, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, Dr. Chopper coming in. Nighttime advantage, and A-Star Wolf cleaning that up, getting the kill with the Ion Shell, and yeah, that's definitely what they need to do and continue to do. And one thing to note is that he didn't pick up the ultimate just yet. Maxed out his Necromastery, and why not? He had tons of souls in his arsenal, but along those lines, getting that gank up, that is going to shut down him a little bit as far as auto attack damage and negate some of that. But anyways, Night Stalker coming on mid lane, and HSAB is going to drop down most likely. The Frostbite comes out through silence. He can't even get the gush off. One more auto attack, Night Stalker will finish that. Vendetta did get popped up top, but A-Star Wolf perfectly happy for the time being. Has a lot of base armor, Darkseer does, currently sitting at 6 armor, and has the stout shield, if that means anything. But double damage Nyx, still a great terror, and it's yeah, it's still something that he can commit a lot to, but currently it's still rank 1 Vendetta, and it's going to be a very short duration. He has to commit to it something really quickly. But I completely agree with the Battle Fury commitment there. Pretty much, if he did, since he is building it now, it's going to take up the next 10 minutes of his farm, and from there he's just going to use it to farm more and more. He's going to flash farm the creep wave, he's going to kill stacked neutrals, and along those lines, it's just he's committing right now to be very non-aggressive, and that's a dangerous thing to play when you're looking at Shadow Fiend already stacking up actually up top. Yes, Stancil getting silenced up. I mean, even if he wanted to do anything about this, he really couldn't. Iron Shell finishing it. No, Night Stalker in the last hit on that. One way or another, he has so many urn charges and can use them as effectively as he needs to. Healing up and keeping the momentum. That's what they need to do. They need this first night. I agree with the Night Stalker as that pickup for this reason, going up against the Shadow Fiend, but they need to continue to take advantage of the nighttime. It's about halfway through it, and that's really, so far so good, but they need to keep it up.
Yeah, they need to go and give Void the room to farm here, and that's kind of...
Nyx on to Vertex, gets the Vendetta stun going on through, one more burst. The ultimate comes on through Chronosphere, but the Crystal Man has already fallen. Suffocating actually taking a lot of damage himself, Magic Missiling on the Spike Carapace, but it's going to be Nyx that's on the run. Dizzy now, if they can get a bash on him, he can bring him down. He wants to bring down the Vengeful Spirit, could have committed himself to death, but the bash did not land, so Faceless Flood was not able to get the return kill, retaliation, and therefore two of them will live on, and that's 2 kills in a row. Now Dr. Chopper will go up on the mid lane and take down the Tidehunter all by himself. This is one big issue, is he has the Kraken Shell, so he can get out of the slow a little bit, but without that Ravage, he's not even safe on his own tower, especially against this Night Stalker with so much HP, and now a Haste Rune Night Stalker at nighttime with 3 and Hunter of the Night. That's the scariest thing you can think of, and it's going to get worse and worse for them before it gets better.
This is also one nice thing we see about Shadowfiend here is he's going and picking up souls from the woods, just farming the small camp, but that's pretty dangerous when there's a Night Stalker on the other team, and there's absolutely no wards on the Dire side. So that's a bit dangerous because you can't actually. Oh no, that is a dire ward. That's my fault. Okay, so he was completely safe. I'm terrible.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I was about to say, the warding is, I mean, you're right in the aspect that you do have to be very careful about your warding. Pretty much
Yeah.
wards are the best counter to Night Stalker because they always have the same amount of vision at day or night, and so that's the best way to, scout them out and see what's coming on. But now the aggression is coming through on the lane, and Stancil, he's just getting voided up. If they have the urn taken down, and now just a little bit more damage, but Nyx instead, disruption, delaying it, and now he's out of mana as well. He will surge away with that rank 1 surge and survive, but now he's out of mana, and the Soul Ring on cooldown, he really can't commit to anything more. So really good support. Was that one of them TPing in there? Did somebody teleport in? Or?
Yeah.
So good reaction there, keeping Stancil up and focusing on making sure Stancil lives on, because it's exactly what he needs to do. He has the Aquila, plenty of armor, and he has a little bit more tangos, but on bottom lane, completely missing that there. Vengeful Spirit gets a Windrunner gets a nice shackle, but it's not enough. He does drop down and to a little bit of everybody there. Nobu not having the best time, and again, this is where Tidehunter level 6 could be amazing. 12 minutes in, a normal Tidehunter who's not losing out on experience would have that Ravage, and that could have changed that around. At least a Windrunner, if not gotten a kill out of it, but instead...
Nice TP there.
Yeah, good getting out of that poor spot, but
Yeah.
nowhere feels safe right now with Dr. Chopper on the run and picking up every rune 2 minute after 2 minute.
Now, let's go and just doing a farm check. This Shadow Fiend is farming his pants off, and I just think that should be noted because he is actually the only way they're going to win. This Nyx Assassin hasn't gone to that point. If Nyx doesn't have, let's say like 3 kills at this point, it's not going to be that complete terror that dominates a game. He's going to be useful. The stun's always good. Both the threat of a Vendetta gank on these supports is always going to be relevant, but Night Stalker doesn't care. Void's not going to be caring pretty soon. When he goes and picks up his Battle Fury, he'll go and farm up a Manta immediately. And actually, what do you think is the best follow-up item on Void now, that with the changes to his bash?
Actually, on mid, HSAB taking a lot of damage. The Kraken Shell will occur too late, and it will be enough for Dr. Jumper to bring him down after that Frostbite combination. But with regard to Void, after the Battle Fury, I mean, Mask of Mana scales really well. I mean, it puts him in a very vulnerable spot as he has absolutely no HP items, so taking off another 30% of your life effective HP is going to be problematic, especially since he hasn't been maxing Backtrack whatsoever. But along those lines, the attack speed is still really good with that Chronosphere. A Shadow Fiend getting a nice deny on tower up top, though. A Starwolf trying to patty cake it down with that Palm attack, but it's not going to be enough, and Shadow Demon timing it perfectly. Lightbringer getting the deny on that.
Yeah, they see now they're in a pretty bad spot because that Night Stalker is just going to go and eat this portion.
Yeah, he will at least get the Lightbringer kill, but he can't really follow up beyond that. I don't know why he silenced. I guess the disruption, but the urn would have been enough one way or another. But now it is daytime. He can only commit so much more to this. Now the stun comes out, and a Starwolf not going to pursue. Nyx does pop his Carapace, keeping him alive for a little bit longer. Nice power shot going on through, and the mana has been burned out, so there's really not too much they can do to pursue. They have the Iron Shell, though. That should be sufficient. If they didn't have the Iron Shell, it wouldn't have worked out. HSAB still wanting that Ravage, and now he has got it. He's actually level 6.
There you go.
There he goes. He skilled the Ravage with that hero kill, and now he'll just commit a Gush or something. No problem at all. He can smash fan set up, and Nobu will live on to see another day, fight on 40 HP, but it's going to be a really good exchange for the Dire. I mean, they had almost no kills, and now they've gotten a number of kills out of it there. The Night Stalker especially being a really big kill, and the Crystal Maiden helping out as well.
Yep, and most importantly, I feel they have 6 on Tide, and with the way it was going, it would probably be like, we'd see a 18-minute level of Ravage, and with level 6, they can actually fight.
Yeah.
If you look at their team on paper, they have a great lineup for team fights, but it very much relies on the fact that Tidehunter can get a Ravage off. With between Ravage though, and it looks like we're going to see a BKB on Shadow Fiend, but with Ravage and Requiem, they have a lot of presence, and hopefully they go and try to do something with that, because that Battle Fury is coming really, really fast. We're like 5 minutes away. There's the Ravage on top lane as well.
Yeah, committing that, making sure they want to bring down at least one here. They're looking for maybe a Starwolf. Is he AFK? I have no idea, but he's still standing there perfectly safe as he regenerates a little bit over time with the Hooded Defiance, but they see that opportunity, and they're going to get a quick pause out for this unfortunate AFK Darkseer. But we'll mention real quick that on bottom lane, the entire time that gank up top was happening with the diving up towards tier 2, we'll mention that Faceless Void did do a lot of damage to the tower on bottom. It's actually dropped just barely out of deny range. He was also free farming creep waves, of course, during that entire time period, but it still pales in comparison to the amount of CS that Shadow Fiend has. I mean, that jumped him up at least 15 CS and almost a tower kill, but all the same, 100 CS, and look at that, 25 denies. I was actually counting it, and when he had 50 last hits, he had 24 denies, so he hasn't denied anything recently, but in general, when he wants to to get those souls up, he is on the ball and really, really good at that last hit, and that's what you need to do as Shadow Fiend to keep that momentum rolling with the Necromastery mechanic. So that's really what he's been acquiring all those souls, been 36 for a very good portion of time, and that just adds so much more, not only with the Requiem Ravage, but also the new mechanic on death that I was mentioning before. So it's really, really important to keep those up and topped off so that you can keep that momentum. Now he will be getting a second point in Requiem and then be building his aura after that. So that's pretty important there, but I'm not sure
One
what's
thing
going on
about
with
Shadow Fiend right now.
Sure.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, one thing about Shadow Fiend right now is his CS is a little bit inflated. If you look at net worth, he's not that far away from the Void, and he's been stacking small camps and just raising them down, which is a great. Like that, you should be doing that. It definitely supplements your gold, but they did stop him from farming. If at about 10 minutes, he had something like 65 CS. So he's being shut down quite a bit. And let's see if they're going to be able to get a disruption off. No, it's on cooldown.
Now, the Soul Catcher did a lot of damage there, but no raises were available. He had already used them to just bring him down while he was AFK. So that put him in a spot where he could actually survive, despite just, sitting in the lane. That's how you delay a tower attack. It's just stand there, and it's pretty much a new secret metagame style where you just hang out there, pretend you're AFK, and actually just delay the inevitable push. But Shadow Fiend does get the last hit on that. That gives him plenty of gold to move towards that BKB, as you were talking about. Now, one thing I really don't like about BKB as first item, I used to be perfectly fine with it because obviously it's an extremely good item with the active ability, getting out of a lot of disables and things along those lines. But I was watching a stream from Owie2000 a few months back, and he was talking about the fact that BKB picking up early on, one of the big deals about BKB is it's one of the few items that gets worse as the game goes along. Like most items, crit, especially Manta style, they scale with your hero as you improve, as you move towards higher levels, get other items to go along with it. But BKB... Oh,
top.
Yep, yeah, the gank going on through. It looks like Nick's Assassin will get out of here with the Vendetta, but Lightbringer may not be so lucky. He's still slowed up for the time being. Nice disruption, but the Void is going to be enough to bring him down. Night Stalker picking up a couple more earn charges and getting another kill during the daytime, fortunately for him. He has actually popped his... I think it was rank 1 at the time, but he popped his ultimate in Darkness, and now he does not have that available for another 130 seconds during this daytime, so he's going to have to deal with it. Deal with the sunshine, and he's not going to appreciate it at all, as he's much weaker during this time period, and that gives him kind of a point of vulnerability where they can go put a lot of pressure on him, and there's no way he can just pop that and get that movement speed boost out of it. So that's unfortunate for him. But yeah, Shadow Fiend about to pick up level 11, and the cooldown's about to come back up, so they could actually possibly try to defend this, but the Ravage is not available, so they're just going to be looking for a deny, which is going to be no problem at all with the fact that the Radiant have already fallen back. Skrillex's not wanting to commit to that anymore, but that is a lot of gold they could have gotten out of it. Not only the last hit gold for the tower, but half of it to the bounty to the entire team. Eoika on the bottom lane actually gets sniped off by the power shot. I don't know, I guess he didn't have vision on Nobu, but that was a really nice power shot and very fortunate that it wasn't backtracked. Like I said, he's only put 1 point in it at this phase in the game, so
yeah, with the changes to time lock, the bash, I think it's right not to go and add to the backtrack because that double damage during Chrono just turns him into a completely different beast. But it does make you more vulnerable. And let's see if this Nyx is going pretty deep for this kill, and I'm not sure. I don't think he's going to be able to get
Vertex
it.
Definitely saw him, but the Tide will help him out in the process. He couldn't get the auto attack off while he was frostbitten, so the ultimate actually didn't activate at all, but the remainder burst damage will work itself out in the end, though Nyx Assassin will take a lot of damage. And he's going for that Dagon now, or Dagon, or however they prefer to pronounce it these days. I feel it's changed like 3 times since I've started playing Dota 1. But anywho, it's picking it up. He has the Null Talisman. He's going to be building it from there. And one way or another, not a big deal. That's going to be helping him out in a lot of gank pressure, a lot of bursty nuke. And the one question will be whether or not he commits to actually a little bit of action haste rune on the Night Stalker, and though he will be able to disruption him right here, will that be enough to get him out of it? He has the purge, so he could purge the haste if he wanted to. He actually should, otherwise he's probably going to drop down. 1 more earn charge would be enough, but does he even have any more charges? He does have 1, so he kind of made a mistake not popping that earn charge. Could have gotten a free kill right there, but instead decided to fall back, and with that, no kill. Just a lot wasted.
You know, there's an interesting item choice here. Who's going to be picking up the mech on Dire? Normally we'd see maybe the Eridar pick it up, but there's no way he's going to be able to get in a timely way. I think this Force Staff is going to be great on Windrunner, but she might have just wanted the mech up at this point, because when that Void comes and starts to fight, and he's already got his Battle Fury, so he's maybe like 5 minutes off just battling. So when he starts to fight, if they don't have a mech up, they're going to lose a team fight pretty badly. That's the Shadow Fiend's doing pretty well. He's almost got his BKB, but remember that BKB gets cancelled by that Vengeful Spirit, who's already level 8, so she's going to hit 11 this game. I don't think they can go and keep this Venge from hitting level 11.
Yeah. I honestly feel like the days of level level 6, level 7, level 8 Vengeful Spirits are kind of gone. The metagame has kind of shifted where she at least gets some experience, and as she moves forwards and survives a little bit more in the team fights, she is doing all right. Now, actually on the back end of it, will Tidehunter survive from this urn charge? I don't think so. And health removal and the Kraken Shell, I don't know if it takes it off, but it didn't. And with that, it looks like Dr. Chopper is trying to get out. He doesn't get hit by the shackle. He is very fast with this darkness popped, and he will get out of range for the last raise. But the fire shot will clip him on the back end. So really quickly, really just did barely enough damage to bring him down, but he has popped darkness in this entire time period that he has about like 15 more seconds that it would have been up, and now it's going to expire while he is sitting in the grave, and will not be able to take advantage of that, which yet again is using that ultimate before the nighttime has hit naturally. So Dagon will be up pretty soon on the Nyx Assassin. Curious to see if it's going to be up on the Shadow Demon. He did pick up a Null Talisman for himself.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Kind of first funny burst combo. If he maxed the Soul Catcher, it would make a lot more sense, but instead went for the Shadow Poison build. How do you feel about that?
I think it's just, I don't think it's good. I normally, you know, I feel you can make a case for a lot of different things, but not getting that Soul Catcher, especially when you have a Nyx Assassin, when you have a Windrunner, because Power Shot's pretty great, when you have a Shadow Fiend, because raises are fantastic. The vision, I think, is the most important thing about Shadow Poison. The damage is not that relevant. Also, speaking of item choices, you can tell just how unafraid Radiant is of this Nyx, because with items like Phases on the Vengeful Spirit and the Tranquils on the Crystal Maiden, they don't care. They're not going for treads. Normally you see treads just to get that extra HP, but they have so many levels that it's kind of, they made up for it, right?
Yeah, along those lines, Nyx Assassin is only sitting at level 11 right now. His experience per minute is actually down number 6th place out of 10. So
yeah,
it's really bad.
She's going to pay for it now.
Yeah, at least they were able to commit to that, but I think Nobu adding enough damage to it no matter what, they could have force-staffed and made sure they were on in it. And anyways, Frostbite does come on through. A-Star Wolf has plenty of damage to bring in, but now Natural Night has occurred. Night Stalker going on through with the Void, slowed him down. Silence won't be able to win run already on cooldown. Force-staff expired, and he's going to drop down. There's really no way to get out of that. In the end, Night Stalker gets the last quick little attack and finishes the job. So that's going to be, I think that trade is completely in favor of the Radiant. They now have a Windrunner dead and not farming up that mechanism. As you were talking about, 250 heal times 5 really adds up in numbers, and right now she has the Force Staff, and that's very, very good for utility and escaping from that Silence Void combo, but when you have 3 people locking you down, there's not so much you can do, especially at nighttime, which you should be extending in just a moment if Dr. Chopper is on the ball, which apparently is not, and we'll be waiting for a short time period before he does. Anywho,
looks like they're about to go on mid, and let's see if they're going to be able to go and pick him up, because with Disruption, I think they can probably, given that Disruption and Ravage are on, I don't think
that wall replica was kind of a complete waste. They vacuumed, it didn't hit anything, and that's a big cooldown and a heck of a lot of mana to just throw around randomly without even soul ringing it. So he's sitting at 300 out of 1,000, and just kind of threw that all away down the drain. I mean, the cooldown isn't that bad, but again, the mana, he's going to have to Arcane Boots like 4 times over, and then fall back to base inevitably, because he does rely on his mana pool so much.
Speaking of that, one nice trick that Stance has been doing on Shadow Fiend is he's always tread swapping when he's just going to be raising, and I like that. You know, those small things actually add up huge when the game goes long, and he needs to be doing that, because that Void is just going to match his CS, completely destroy it, just due to the nature of, you know, that's how Battle Furies work, and it looks like he is going for that Mask of Madness. So if the Shadow Fiend doesn't get out, you know, one more big item pretty soon, let's see if he goes for the Blink, sitting at 2150. If he doesn't get a big item pretty soon, that Void's going to kill his team. Because the HP pool is way too low on all of these heroes. The Tides picked himself up a Bracer, but they've got double Arcanes, which, you know, it's good. But they have triple Arcanes given that Nyx has it, and I think it's a bit questionable, right? Like, you need mana, but you don't need that much mana, I guess.
Now, a lot of aggression going on both sides. Nyx Assassin has popped his med dead, has hunted down on a Star Wolf. Double damage is up on Night Stalker, but he's just too quick for Nyx Assassin to even think about it. And so, in the end, they're just going to be pushing down next to the towers. Trix is not visible right now, wants to find an easy prey, finds it with Sofa King. Now he will start off with the Vendetta, the stun comes on out. Will be enough damage is a question, and it will with the Gush to follow on through. And Vertex actually gets stunned out by the Carapace, even when he tried to frostbite him, so disabling himself as much as his opponent, and now he may be in a pretty sore spot, but pretty fast with those Tranquil Boots, and he may just get out of it no problem. Yeah. No blink up on Tidehunter, so it does cost him in mobility, for sure.
Yeah. But do you think Shadow Fiend should even be going for blink this game?
Shadow Fiend, really, he has the BKB, but like you were saying, the swap, it really depends on how well they can pick up Vengeful Spirit. If they're not doing the detection, Radiant has so far not picked up anything as far as detection goes, as well as the fact that you said they weren't very afraid of the fact they don't have a HP-based boost, they don't have treads. Well, along with that, they don't even have detection. They don't have sentries up, so right now they're kind of not even afraid of the Nixon in general, but that may be a huge mistake for them. If Nixon get a quick pick-off of the Vengeful Spirit, and you have a Ravage Blink and a Blink BKB Shadow Fiend in your midst, really what can you do up against that? I mean, the Chronosphere can help out, but you have to be on the ball with that. Speaking of which, I mean, the Mask of Madness Battle Fury build, he's sitting at right now not even 1,000 HP, 30% less, he'll honestly be sitting at less than 700 HP, can get burned effectively. I mean, obviously armor factors into that and will increase that value substantially more, but just generally speaking, he's taking a heck of a lot of damage, and he's relying on two things extensively. Backtrack, which is sitting now at 25% being maxed out, but also multi-hero Chronospheres. If he can get a big Chronosphere off, the incoming damage won't matter whatsoever. The Battle Fury and the Mask of Madness will have the maximum damage output that he wants and is looking for, with not only the change in his time lock, but just what Void does best, which is destroying heroes when they're completely disabled and can't do anything whatsoever. But along those lines now, he has a lot on his shoulders, not only to catch multi-hero Chronospheres to keep himself alive, but also his teammates if the Vengeful Spirit does get picked off and the Shadow Fiend can wreak havoc like I was kind of talking about before. Wall actually does come back out, the Ravage goes on through, Stancil looking for that ultimate, the Requiem does not go off though, because again, the Yorka has picked up, but the Shackle goes on through, and now Yorka cannot DPS him down fast enough. Stancil doing a lot of damage, needs 2 more raises, the pipe gets popped off way too late, and that will be the end of a Star Wolf, and now possibly Sofa King. Stancil does get stunned up, Disruption goes on through, now he's looking for a quick close range raise, or just a few more auto attacks, one way or another, he's trying to finish him off. Stancil taking a lot of damage from the Void.
Oh god, can't pop his passive.
But there is a second Requiem, and that's going to be an ultra kill for Stancil in the end, finishing off a Night Stalker, and look at what I was talking about, click on Shadow Fiend, you're looking at it, 30 Necromancy charges right now. He's lost half of those, but gets them right back with that kill. And he's going to even buy back and jump in the fray, because why not? You have the pressure, you have the momentum. He has his big item, the BKB, the Manta Stat will help out, which will give him a lot of mobility, but he's not going for that Blink Dagger and could care less to that regard. So he, like I was kind of saying, the Faceless Void got a really, really good Chronosphere off to prevent what was going on, but the Shackle from Windrunner really made that fight and set up kept Shadow Fiend alive long enough to completely change the fight around and get Stancil that ultra kill. Now they're looking at Roche.
Yeah, with Aegis up on Shadow Fiend, they're going to have to make some plays. The game was firmly, I would say, in Sentinel's favor, but just one bad fight, giving Shadow Fiend an ultra kill, giving him Aegis, giving the team that Aegis gold. It's, we're back at parity. Now we're going to be able to see those items like, the mech on Windrunner. She's about, 1,600 gold away. The mech on Windrunner, this Tidehunter has just gone for the Mass Bracer build, which I am completely in favor for. The Eridor might be able to pick up something pretty soon. But what is he going for? Is this going to be a Bloodstone? Like, this is...
There's nothing logical in that, really.
Yeah.
He just, wants to jump around the lane a little bit more. Arcane Boots, Ring of Health, never run out of anything. It's like a Perseverance, but without the benefits of either.
It might be best just to pick up a Vanguard. Like, I would not be that bothered if he's just decided that he wanted to tank up a bit more. But it's not, with no drums on the team, I'd say that should be a bit, oh my god, we've got an upgrading Dagon. That's pretty sick. I'm pretty excited now.
Yeah, he's working on it. He has the second recipe, but actually Dizzy Nobu taking a lot of damage. Dr. Chopper in pursuit, but he jukes nicely around the trees. Has a win-run movement speed, but does get Novad up, and the Urn will finish him off. He does Power Shot to try to do a little bit more before he leaves. A lot of illusions going up on Vertex. Not only the wall of replica, but also the disruption going on through. But currently he's still alive, not for much longer though, with the mana burn going on through. Now Dr. Chopper wants to clean this up, wants to put some hurt back in the right direction, but right now with the Vendetta, Nyx isn't done. He does have his Dagon on cooldown, but he wants to at least take down Sofa. Instead looking at Night Stalker now. Should change his mind. I would change my mind to Vengeful Spirit. Seems a lot better, but he also might want to try to save his buddy Tidehunter here. So he's trying to get a stun on both of them. The swap goes on through, though. He gets the opportunity. The stun goes on through, but the Iron Shell is enough damage. Night Stalker finishing the job. Now Requiem comes on through. A lot of damage going across. Dr. Chopper, one more hit. He still survives for the time being. Vengeful Spirit not so lucky. So Night Stalker on the back end is running for his life, earning up. A Star Wolf pops his pipe late yet again, and is just going to flee as best he can. But in all that engagement, there was no Faceless Void to be found. He was in the jungle. He was farming it up, and it's just he wasn't really committing to really the team fight at that time of the game.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be going for that Maelstrom Mjolnir build, and I think given that you're playing against a Shadow Fiend, you're going to be... Oh, no, it's crits. What am I talking about? But given that you're playing against a Shadow Fiend, I would just pick up an AC. You want to tank up a bit. You want to give your team that additional armor to kind of balance out the passive. And with your bash is doing a crazy amount of damage anyway. Crits is good, but if you're going crits Mask of Madness, you're going to also be in pretty dangerous position. And leveling up Dagon's pretty suboptimal, right?
Absolutely, very inefficient.
Very inefficient. But if you're Dagoning a Mask of Madness Faceless Void, it's gonna probably just take him down if he doesn't backtrack it. He doesn't have the HP pool to work with, given his items right now.
Yeah,
sitting at 1,000 just isn't enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I mean, I definitely agree with maybe an Assault Cuirass over a Crystallis and later on Daedalus. I definitely don't think another Glass Cannon item on top of Mask of Madness is the right way to go, unless you are 100% confident in the best Chronospheres in North America, but right now Nyx Assassin doing a little bit of pressure on a Starwolf, who can't really do too much more other than carapace him up. Gets a nice stun out, but now Dr. Chopper at least silencing up, trying to keep everybody in the action. Starwolf gets a nice vacuum onto his wall of replica, but can they follow up with it? Daytime has just struck, so Dr. Chopper is slowed down despite his BKB. Can he even pursue the tricks? I don't know, but anyways, on the back end, Eoika does another beautiful Chronosphere. The tower is still attacking, but otherwise hits 3. The Shackle to a tree, he will not be able to pursue until the Time Walk comes up. He can go aggressive right now. The Frostbite has gone on through, but the Wind Run is up, and even with the Force Staff on cooldown, he should survive. There's the mech doing his work and keeping him alive. Trix getting slowed up, and now the Ravage gets popped on too. Eoika getting tons of damage put in on him, and he's going to drop down to the Dagon, finishing the job there. Vertex also trying to put out a lot of damage with Freezing Field, but it's not going to happen. And even on the back end, Stancil picking up another kill onto the Crystal. No, Tidehunter got the Crystal Maiden with a Gush. So long range, or no, what did he do? Like, I don't know. He doesn't have Gush and cooldown, but definitely wasn't the Ravage. I'm not sure how he got that kill, but not a really big deal. They cleaned it up and they got 4 for 1.
Yeah, that is just, being a little bit too aggressive there. The Void jumped in, so he didn't have anything on cooldown, and when they didn't notice the Tide bot back, I guess, because that Ravage just completely destroyed them, and they kind of gave up that advantage they had picked. Now, the problem is, dealing with the Shadow Fiend, just pushing down all your towers, is going to be a pretty serious concern going forward. Until, 44 minutes, he just can 2-raise a wave. So he's actually a pretty strong pushing hero in his own strange way. And that's a dead.
Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention, but Daywalker running around and thinks his BKB will save him from 5 enemy heroes catching him out, but not so fortunate, and he's, not going to work out for him, and that level 2 Dagon only going to get worse, assuming he wants to continue skilling it up. Like we said, very inefficient, probably the worst thing you can possibly do, but it's very fun in the same time, playing next to his full kit of just beat the crap out of whoever you find in front of you. So he's truly the assassin, and playing that role to its extent. I really like Necronomicon on him. It's very high utility, adds a lot to his mana burn synergy, and helps out your teammates, especially your carry. Shadow Fiend can get a lot of out of the attack speed, movement speed. But Void coming in with a nice Chronosphere. The tower has fallen, they can't stop that, but Vertex does he have Freezing Field? He doesn't. If he had Freezing Field, this would be a complete coup, but instead Shadow Fiend does get off that Requiem once he dies. Sofa King does swap in to bring down Nyx, tries to get a kill, brings down the Vengeful Sphere at the very least, but now has to run for his life. Used all his mobility. His Vacuum on cooldown, he could probably TP out if it was, but the Starwolf not even pursuing, letting the illusions do the work, and instead the Nyx Assassin will fall back. So that was a really awkward exchange. They got the tower, which was what they want to finish up. Eoika picking up a random kill onto Shadow Demon, now looking for Nobu, but with the Wind Run, no Vacuum might be enough to keep him in it, but the Force Staff over the cliff, so fortunate that he got over the cliff. If he got caught up on it, on that spot there, then that would have been the death of the Windrunner, but he just barely timed his distance perfectly, and he will escape. But shoot, yeah, that was awkward in the engagement there. I mean, the tower had fallen, and obviously he wanted to save that, get the deny in the team fight, but whatever. He got a really nice Chronosphere off, but then after the Requiem, half Requiem went on through, they were
low enough that the damage could be dealt. Then the Nyx showed up, and he has level 4 Dagon at this point. I'd just like to point out, there's a Hex missing here, is kind of what I want to say. This game is pretty interesting right now, but if this Nyx, he would be what? So Dagon recipe is what, 1375 or something like that?
25, I think. I don't know. I haven't checked it recently, but yeah, over 1300, and that's a lot of gold to add up 4 times over now. Yeah,
so that's pretty much a Hex, and if they had a Hex on Dire, I'm not sure because there's a 5-second BKB on the Night Stalker. Void is pretty susceptible, and is he going for a BKB at this point? Is that hammer can't be?
Face of Void.
Yeah,
no, it can't. I mean, it could be Desolator technically, but I definitely think he's going for the BKB. And I meant to say this 20 20 minutes ago, but we got caught up in a bunch of other things. When you're talking about the crit and going the Assault Pierce instead of the crit, I kind of felt like BKB was a better option than Crystallis because, yeah, you're going for full glass cannon, relying on your Chronospheres, but the fact of the matter is one of his first Chronospheres that could have been amazing got completely screwed over by the fact that he got a rank 4 Shackle Shot put on him, couldn't even bring down the Shadow Fiend in the Chrono. Along with that, you got to consider the Ravage, the Disruption, everything from Nyx. I mean, all that stuff, actually, a little bit of a skirmish going on through, but it's just going to be Vengeful Spirit picked off by the Nyx Assassin, doing what he does best, but now silenced up. The 7-second BKB popped up now, not going to expire in no time at all, and with that, he's actually going to be in a pretty rough spot, though. He popped the Narkness at the very least. Ravage goes on through. Now they get the retaliation. Was waiting for Dr. Chopper's BKB wear off. Now Versuta, or Vertex, trying to get a lot of damage with the freezing field, but everybody's falling back from that position. Pipe is popped on a Starwolf, and now the aggression. Yoika has already done a lot of damage to that Chronosphere, and the Dagon gets backtracked, so no waste of the recipes there completely, and lucky backtrack keeps Faceless Blade alive for the time being. I think that would have done it, though. Here comes the Requiem going on through now, trying to put pressure out, but 1 versus 3, can he even bring down 1? He's going to try to finish off Dr. Chopper, I believe. No, Yoika is the target of choice, but the final Requiem will at least do that much. But now, HSAB going 1 versus 3 himself, all at once.
Gush.
Not going to happen. He's not going to finish him, and with that, he drops down. Nice Stalker actually getting a little snippy with him and catches him with the kill. Dr. Chopper kind of joking around with him a little bit and actually going for Basher. Disagree with that completely, but that's my mind. So, anyways, what was I trying to say? There was a lot of... Actually, what did you think about that team fight? How that went down in operation, mechanics, everything, just how they played that out?
Well, I mean, basically what happened there is the Nyx, he just wanted to get 1 kill, right? They were just kind of going for a pick, and I think they were counterboarding at that point. So they just, all they wanted to do was get 1 pick and get out of there. But then the Night Stalker showed up, then the Crystal Maiden showed up, the Void was able to chrono. And that's a problem of not having enough vision, right? If you want to play that kind of really be afraid of your own woods, you need to have the vision to back that up, because the counter initiation of Chronosphere, of Darkseer's Vacuum, it's too strong. It's too strong, because if you try to play super aggressive and then you get punished, right?
Starwolf versus Nyx on bottom, and he finishes the job. He has enough burst and can bring even the guy with a pipe down to his knees if he's not full life. Anyways, what were you saying?
I don't even remember.
I mean, you definitely were dissertating that team fight rather effectively. Getting to the heart of the matter is really the initiation wasn't there. The Dire have absolutely no wards, not only in that area, but across the entire map, and that limits their control exponentially. Nyx Assassin, you need jungle wards to gank effectively, and though he was effective enough to get the pick off on Vengeful Spirit, you're killing, what, a level 12 support for setting up a poor team fight for your teammates. Now, the Ravage and the Requiem can turn that around a decent amount, but they were all funneled up into this narrow passageway near the bottom rune spawn, and with that, the Faceless Blade could get a really good ultimate off, and it could do a lot with that. Now, they were very fortunate with the backtrack, only having a 25% chance for this to happen, but Mask of Madness was active when the rank 4 Dagon went down on him. Eoika would have fallen from that, but he did backtrack that up, and therefore did survive to clean up quite a bit more.
I think that there's going to be a Dagon on this Eridar. I think the Shadow Demon's going for the old Perseverance Dagon build.
That's an old build? I've never heard of that ever.
I don't know, man. I don't... There's probably...
The classic Perseverance Dagon. You get the HP regen, a little bit of damage, I don't even know.
You have the mana up so you could Dagon more, right? Like, it's obvious. No, because when you get the Bloodstone, right? Then the charges get picked up, and the Dagon's very synergistic. It's, standard.
I suppose.
But yeah, no. For a second, I actually thought the BKB is the right item, but I was really afraid that this Faceless Void was going to go and pick up the Maelstrom, which in fact is a Mithril Hammer item. Which always I keep buying wrong items. Like whenever I want to buy a hood, I keep buying Hell. Like I need to get my life together.
Yeah,
I still think Dragon has Blades of Attack on it.
I know you casted Dota. Did you ever play Heroes of Newerth?
Oh, no, I didn't.
That's an interesting mix-up then. Helmet of Iron Will actually was a component in Shaman's Headdress, which was the Hood of Defiance. So that's one thing, obviously, I messed that up for like 2 weeks maybe, but that's kind of funny that you had that mistake with the item without even playing the game that transferred that over.
It used to be that in Dota.
Okay, that's obviously they ported that over directly, so that makes sense. It's just kind of the old mindset comes back to you, and just randomly you're getting that. I mean, there was one point where I literally picked up a Manta Style because I thought it would burn mana. I don't know where in the back of my mind that would happen, because it used to build up from Diffusal, but it's been so freaking long, and I don't know where that's coming from. It's just kind of ridiculous.
Bad habits popping up. Let's see if there's gonna be Shadow Fiend, right? Is going for Hex, not Hex, but he's going for Butterfly. And when that comes up, they're going to need hexes on Sentinel or Radiant. Man, it's hard, man. I keep getting these old words mixed up. But if they don't have hex up, because you know, BKB's going to be up for 5 seconds, but if they don't hex him down and he is able to get that evasion going, he's probably doing a bit more damage than Void right now, right? Which is crazy to say because Void's absolutely stacked. But if he's not critting and he's not got a good Chronosphere out, I think the Shadow Fiend, given the fact that he's ranged, he's always hitting people, and that's something you can't discount. That when Faceless Void hits you, you get chunked. But since he's a melee hero, he spends a lot of time in fights running around, which Shadow Fiend doesn't have to do. And if this Shadow Fiend is able just to sit around in a team fight and keep wailing on people, the Sentinel's going to have a pretty rough time. And I think they need to go and pick up some hexes.
Now Trix Trix playing Nyx. I actually don't know why I haven't mentioned that until just now, but Trix is picking up Nyx and trying to focus down a Starwolf. They're trying to get a little bit of damage in the Gush, reduces the armor. There goes the stun on through the Ravage, of course. Now looking for maybe a Requiem, not exactly the best position. The BKB pops off, doesn't hit too much as far as high damage output goes. Yoika looking for the Chronosphere, hits nobody but his teammates, completely whiffs it, and just gets a bunch of Shadow Fiend illusions in the process. Oh, terrible for Yoika. He's going to get burned down really quickly. Bashes, though, all over the place, but Stancel's going to finish the job, and therefore there goes the Faceless Void. Now they're in pursuit, and they just want to hunt down. There's a couple illusions in the mix from the Darkseer wall, but in the end it's just going to be 3 down for only a Nyx Assassin, and that was a complete misplay for Radiant.
Yeah, that was awful. Because, at that point, they'd already bursted Requiem, so they didn't have that huge damage. Ravage was down. The only thing that could actually make them lose that fight was, and this, I'm kind of curious what the Shadow Fiend's plan was there.
To win the game by
nice
1v1ing Roshan. Oh, that is amazing. That was crazy. That was obviously planned from the very beginning. It's big mind games that he set it up. He's like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk into Roshan under wards, and I'm going to get attacked by the Night Stalker, going to force half him up, we're going to kill him. No problem. We just got the plan. You just got to stick with it. And Stancil playing it out, the master bait from... that's a very poor choice of words, but anyways, Shadow Fiend being the... I don't even know how to rephrase that come back from that there, but he has picked up the Aegis of the Immortal, and that'll help him a lot, coming up to nearly level 23. And where's this Butterfly at? Obviously in the bank, and he's going to pick that up from the stash, and he no longer needs the buyback gold having the Aegis of the Immortal. But anyways, one thing I'll mention though is that I talked about a little bit, Night Stalker picking up the Basher. I don't like that. Not only does Hunter of the Night only give him a 75% increase in attack speed, it's a nice improvement that he'll proc the Bash more often, but it's redundant with Faceless Void already having that in his repertoire. Along with that, now they have to deal with the fact that Shadow Fiend just picked up 35% evasion, so you'd be hitting him less, bashing him less, dealing a lot less damage. So I think the MKB would have been a much better commitment going into the Night Stalker when you're going up against a Shadow Fiend that's getting this much farm.
Yeah, and here we have let's see if this winner, if they're going to go and commit on this winner. Oh no, there's a Nyx. Okay, everything makes sense now.
Wow, big deck.
Great Chronosphere there.
Oh wow, Kessa's 2 out. They can't. The teammates cannot help them, but they don't need it. Yoika burning through, and that. Wow, did you see those bashes going through the time lock? Really doing work inside that Chronosphere, and I really like that change. Very scaling on attack speed. Now going up against a Nyx Assassin. The Carapace just came up. His Dagon will be up in just 2 seconds. Can he survive long enough? He should. If he Carapace right then, he might have been able to, but no, it doesn't work out. Instead, the Requiem goes off. Now Stancil doing a heck of a lot of damage. The Aegis of the Immortal is on cooldown, but he has so much evasion. He's going 1 versus 2. Can he survive? He doesn't have the mobility, so if he has to pussy out, he's going to drop down, and that's going to be the death with the half Requiem just doing a little bit of extra damage before they just fall back to the base there. So they can't really push in their current state, but at the same time they lost the Aegis, so that's kind of 5 for 3 and not what they want right now. Definitely.
But I think one big problem there is they didn't have tied up. They're kind of fighting fights that they don't plan for, right? Every time you kind of see an engagement over in Radiant Woods, it's not an engagement that Dire actually wanted to have. The fights where they have it, set up, they have the Ravage, they have, because that's also a pipe that you're missing. So they're getting a bit frisky, I guess is how I'd put it. And when that happens, you go and get, all your carries chronoed and bash to shit.
Yeah, I kind of trying to get in my head in that mindset there. You're saying that they're going into Radiant Woods expecting absolutely no Radiant heroes to fight them there. It's like, what do they expect is going to be there? Lions, tigers, and woods? Lions, tigers, bears, and a lonely, vengeful spirit AFK? I don't know. It's just like...
Well, I mean, that's, the Darkseer was AFK for like 5 minutes tops. So like, maybe, dude, high-level tactics, okay?
Yeah, it's just, you got to go with the flow, go with a little bit of the trend. It's just a trend setting right there. They know the Night Stalker, or the the Darkseers did it at one point, so the rest of the team, has to fill in and fill that gap in the near future. Acer does get picked up on Night Stalker, but I mean he's already running around extremely swiftly right now. Didn't pick up for the phase boost, so not maxing out, but still 295 plus 184. Heck, a lot of movement speed, and the haste just adds on icing on the cake to that. But as far as the builds go, he actually Shadow Demon Eridar went for the Force Staff instead, so a lot of mana available to him. The Perseverance, I guess, could work towards the Bloodstone to give him a little bit more durability, but in general, I kind of feel like they could have used more utility.
Anything
I mean,
else?
the Force Staff helps, but
I'm kind of surprised there's not a single Django in this game. Like, that's probably one of the best items for a support to be picking up, just because it increases the damage of your carries by so much, and popping into those crucial fights and those chases, you'll go and end up grabbing kills that otherwise you wouldn't be able to see. And I don't know, when was the last time you saw a game without a Django?
Yeah, there's nothing, not on either team, actually. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I thought just the Dire were slipping on that. I've seen plenty of games where one team forgets to go for it or doesn't coordinate in that fashion, but haven't seen one in a very long time that neither team has picked one up. So Drums of Endurance, that very, very meaningful aura, especially with the fact that Night Stalker and Vengeful Spirit are such long-range initiators. They want to jump in from long-range swaps and very, very fast with the Night Stalker. Yeah, it just seems to work so well with both lineups and either escaping or initiating, and neither one of them taking advantage of that. So the Force Staff picked up gives him a little bit of mobility for himself or whoever he puts it on, but that Chief Set could have been so much more reliable, and I completely agree with your sentiment with regard to both Nyx Assassin's items and for the entire teams in general, not really playing for the high utility that they need to.
Well, I mean, there's not exactly $1 million prize, so I think we can forgive him for having some fun.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Although, one thing that does get me upset is that this is a Dagon 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're already there,
go big or go home, What the heck is that about? Building a Necrobook now? Now?
Yeah,
I don't know. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, people talk about E-Blade and stuff like that. It goes best in your primary stat, and Nyx Assassin has one of the worst agility gains for any Agi hero in the world. It's why he's not a carry. It's why he's a nuker. It's why he's a ganker. It's why he builds utility. And Ethereal Blade, yes, it will give you that effect, but you might as well just pick up a Pugna, because the gold setup right there, it really isn't worth it. I mean, yes, I could see some synergy with Morphling or Pugna, but buying it outright on him, whatever, in my mind.
Right,
anyways, Yoika gets a really nice initiation on Nobu. He does get Force Staffed away, maybe a second time over. Shadow Fiend not there, or Shadow Demon not there to help him out, but not a big deal. Already popped the Windrun and the Mech, and just has movement speed to get out of there. On the other hand, they are trying to rush down Stancil. Finally, a Hex comes out on him, but the Ravage will delay them. He comes in with the BKB. Now, can he get the Requiem off? Yoika's all over him. BKB himself, so he's not going to be able to get affected by it.
Oh,
Chronosphere again, another fail. He does pick up 2 this time, but A-Star Wolf is still going to drop down. Shadow Fiend finishing the job there, and actually the enemy doing a lot more with it than he was himself. So really, really bad play on Yoika, and now Dr. Chopper running for his life on the back end of this. He needs to live for 4 more seconds to pop off that darkness at least to extend the nighttime, but right now he's just trying to get out of there. There it goes. He has Abyssal Blade, so that helps quite a bit, but all the others, all the same, Yoika, kind of the best player on the Dire team right now.
Yeah. And I think that's the other thing. He basically chased that Shadow Fiend around for a while, and given the fact that Shadow Fiend has a Manta, and if you don't get that first bash off from the slow on your jump, you're not going to really catch him. So he wasted a ton of time, and then he missed him when he chronoed. Because if he chronoed the Shadow Fiend for
yeah, perfectly fine. Yeah, but the entire time Stancil was laying into his teammates, and he was just doing his single target DPS to like the Darkseer next to him or whatever. So really, in the end. Actually, Darkseer was his teammate. No, anyways, he was doing his damage, but Shadow Fiend was completely able to do the exact same thing. And with that, not only the Manta-style movement speed, but the evasion, you're not going to be able to lock this guy down by yourself. So he was wasting a lot of time in Pursuit. Speaking of Pursuit's middle lane, Shadow Demon gets Force Staff all the way into the Tier 4 range, and does at least drop down there. So that's something to push them off of this siege on the Tier 3.
Satanic's going to be up soon on this Shadow Fiend, and then it's going to be a serious problem. Dude, Stance has been really playing fantastically this game. Like, I've never seen this guy before, right? But he's been in every fight that was, he farmed enough so that when he got into fights, he could have a big effect, and then he played the fights pretty much perfectly. So, huge props to him. And another interesting thing is, this Tidehunter's level 18. He was level 2, he was level 4 at, 9 minutes, and now he's out leveling the Crystal Maiden and the Vengeful Spirit, which is, Tidehunter's a great hero, man. Like, there's a reason that he needs that 6 that badly, because it's completely different when he gets it.
So yeah, his strength scaling is of course impeccable. He has a couple bracers. Could put one towards cough at Django, but all the same, he at least has the bracers, has a lot of sustainability, has the pipe utility there, and as long as he can get in the fray, that Ravage obviously has been doing work. Now that they only have 5-second BKBs left on the Radiant team, but along those lines, it's kind of the supports, Vengeful Spirit, Crystal Maiden, can't roam around and do anything. That's really the strength of Nyx Assassin pickup. They're only now getting sentries, and now they're starting to become terrified from him. I mean, Crystal Maiden farming up a blink, that's an extreme luxury that I'm astonished by, but all the same, only hitting level 16, you figure the gold farm would match up with the experience. Not so much, at least from my perspective here, but yeah, Stansel's becoming quite a beast, and right now with no MKBs to counteract him right now, Javelin just now being picked up by Faceless Void, unless there's anything in the Quarry. He does have the Demon Edge on the Courier, so that's pretty close to what he needs, and he needs to farm up this 1500 before they go on another engagement, but unfortunately for them, Roshan is calling, only 2.5 minutes left, and he really has a timetable to work with. Speaking of, Darkness is popped right now, but in a few, 15 seconds or so, it will expire, and from there they only have about 2 minutes of night, and once it hits that next daytime, it's going to be difficult for Night Stalker. That 20-second time window, I mean, at this point, he's completely reliant on it. If he doesn't have the attack speed for Basher, if he doesn't have the movement speed to stay on top of Shadow Fiend or anything along those lines, he is screwed. So you can just imagine his 5-second BKB runs out right when the darkness expires, and it has a 20-second window where he's completely worthless. So
Shadow Beam is going Refresher.
What?
It could be an Orchid, I guess. That's... Oh, no, okay, thank God.
Oh no!
It's Lightbringer. No, it's
Lightbringer.
It's Lightbringer. Yeah, that's a Shadow Fiend.
We're gonna pray for Orchid.
Yeah. This is.
What would you do with a freaking refresher on Aerodar? I really can't even fathom. Double Soul Catcher.
Dude,
honestly, they should.
More fucking poisons, man.
Ice Rock should implement Soul Catcher stacking on top of one another, just so that people can dream of the luxury of a refresher orb Aerodar, where you increase their damage.
How you used to go and stack Ag Sticks on OD? Back when it had Mystic Staff on it?
Oh, yeah, where it was intellect based instead of mana. Wow, yeah. That's cool.
So, but in Dota 2, they still have voices. Like, when you buy an extra Ag Stick, he says, 2 acronyms or whatever. So, I don't know how that would come up, and I think the only reason people found out is by checking logs.
Yeah.
But it's good to see, This is just a really cool game. There's so many small things, like when Punch hits 13 last hits, he says Butcher's Dozen.
Oh, yeah, I like that one, especially.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. I thought that was pretty snazzy, if you will. Let's see if they're going to bait with this Windrunner and then just show up with a party of killing people.
Yeah, pretty much seems exactly what their intention is. HSAB not really needing that Blink Dagger if he can just get in the fray, and here it comes, the daytime that I was talking about. As soon as this expires, and it indeed will, as Dr. Chopper is saving his Darkness Ultimate, with that daytime will pop, and it will only be Darkness for that 80-second time period that he allows it to be, and then 40 full seconds a day can be definitely a very, very painful weakness for him, as it's, like I said, he's almost assuming that it's nighttime, and now it is indeed not the case, so...
Oh no. That Venge took over the
big vacuum though, big vacuum through the wall of Replicable. A lot of illusions going across Yoika, going a lot of damage going straight into Nobu. Kind of focusing on the wrong target here. He needs to finish off Stancil. Almost does it. Enough bashes going on through. He pops the Manta Style but dies. Have Requiem going on through. Now Dr. Chopper on the run. The Shadow Fiend has fallen and their big threats are down, but as long as they keep focused, they're going to be able to bring down. Radiant can finish off the Dire here. The Ravage is already expired. Not much more the Tricks can do. Dr. Chopper finished the job. My camera going crazy, but HSAB now running for his life, as beefy as he is. He's got nothing, and yeah, they have too much to just burn him down, slow him, stun him, frostbite him, and that's going to be ultra kill for Ryoika, dominating that team fight. He really, really focused down. Again, I feel like he could have killed Stancil before the ultimate expired, but
luckily he was just cleaving onto him, so it didn't matter that much in the end.
Yeah, in the end,
it might actually be tactical, because you can't miss with the cleave, right?
Oh, but okay. He also can't miss a crit, but I mean that's only 20% chance comparatively speaking. So I definitely see what you're saying there.
But I don't know if that was on purpose, but that is a thing. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And this is kind of the interesting thing about Void. You can have as many bad Chronospheres as you want, as long as you have one good one. Because if he didn't cast the Shadow Fiend that time, or he got the Shadow Fiend low, the Satanic would have been enough to go and just bring him back to full immediately. And the fact that Chronosphere lasts so damn long is definitely keeping them in this game.
Absolutely. And yeah, unfortunately, Shadow Fiend has committed a lot to his item build here. He had the Aegis previously, but now not so fortunate. So he has 6 major items, but if he does drop down, he has no buyback available. And that's actually true for a lot of the heroes. Let me check. I completely forgot what hotkey, not that one, that I've set up for buyback. There we go. But anyways, yeah, there's 2 for available for, actually 4 available for Radiant, but none available for the Dire. So picking up his Aegis of the Immortal, it's just icing on the cake for Faceless Void here, as they have all the buybacks in their ball court, and Dire has none available. So 40-40, bit of a misnomer now that Faceless Void has been so farmed, has picked up an MKB now, so even the Butterfly finally getting enough gold to overcome the advantage that Shadow Fiend had early on, and even though it's really nice to have 370 last hits, if they're countering your items appropriately, as Eoika has, all he has to do is make sure he does not screw up his Chronospheres like he has been. If they're on par as what they need to be, then he'll be perfectly fine. And they currently have at least 1 Rax advantage, so that's something there too to add on to it.
Yeah. You know, I'm kind of curious. He went Necro too, and I wonder if he's going to finish it. We might just be seeing the new meta, you know, get level up items and don't finish them.
Exactly. What Diffusal 1, I don't know if there's any others, but
I'm sure, you know, 0 stack Bloodstones, I guess. We can... Oh, we're going to see a Django on Tidehunter, it looks like, so that's good.
Gasp. Movement speed. No, he's going to Veil. He doesn't... No.
You're right. What was I thinking? No, I see, actually, this is Diffusal. You know, Diffusal 1.
Excellent. No, that's kind of hilarious, though. Why would you go for the Dagon 4 and not... I don't even know. It's like, no, it's just too much. It's just too much. I put this much money into it. I put thousands upon thousands of gold. I hear all the time that Dagon 5 is the most expensive item in the game. I'm just going to undercut it just a little bit, perfectly fine, perfectly reasonable. And I guess he just knew it wasn't working, didn't want to commit to it too much. Or maybe
right.
He's listened to me a little bit on stream. Do have a bit of delay here, but you can still hear advice long term. And if he knows that if I say Necronomicon...
Courier? No.
Not just the Courier, the friggin' Night Stalker. He pops his invisibility rune. Do they have any way to detect him? Here comes a nice wall of replica vacuum, but they don't really have any follow-up, so Starwolf is going to be focused down here. Now the Night's Time has popped off BKB on Dr. Chopper, but only for so much longer.
His chrono's going to be insane. Oh god,
Requiem got cancelled out. He's not going to happen. Ravage goes on through. Faceless Void still has the BKB. Needs to pop it. Oh, he's dropping down so fast, and now he does finally get the ultimate, but it only hits Stancil, and he's using it defensively, running for his life. No, he's going balls to the walls in this because he has the Aegis of the Immortal, but really, will he be able to come back from this Stancil lifestealing so insanely well, even through the mischance? And now he does get stunned up by the Abyssal Blade, and that's the Eoika finishing the job. Darkseer getting a kill somehow. Don't know. I guess the illusions that are going on through, you cannot count out these illusions. There's been like 3 or 4 of them throughout the entire fight, and in the end, Starwolf actually picks up a double kill on the back end of that fight there. So that was really interesting. The Faceless Void ultimate really wasn't necessarily what they needed to do, but in the end, I kind of feel like Dire don't have enough at all. The Aegis of the Immortal and the Cheese was in the hands of the Radiant, and that was enough to keep them in the fight. Night Stalker popped the Cheese, obviously Eoika back on the field, and why is this Crystallis in bank? Oh, to carry the Aegis, obviously. So.
But one interesting thing there is not interesting, like just great play from the Windrunner. They kept the Faceless Void stunned for a very long time. And because when he first leaped in, he was surrounded. Like, he would have gotten, like, a 4 enemy, Man, I'm losing my words. Big ball of blue holding people in place thing.
Shiva's, I don't even know, I was sorry, I was focusing on the team fight here, actually. He's going down Lightbringer, it does get mini shackle, mini stunned here, and though the Windrunner is popped, he has the MKB, can DPS right through that 100% evasion, popping the BKB for no reason whatsoever, as far as I can tell. Should probably have picked up his Crystallis while he was at the enemy fountain, but in the end, he just falls back to commit to they already taken down the racks, ranged and melee have fallen down, but now Eoika taking a lot of damage. Big vacuum going across, though, and Trick's not going to be long for this world. Drops down, doesn't even pop off the Necro minions, and now the Faceless Void survives on to lifesteal with that Mask of Mana sub, just burning down the poor little buildings in the base, and now they're looking at the tier 4 with 2 lanes down. This is going to be a good game. They're going to finish the job here. H-Sub being the target of choice. He cannot even pop the pipe off because he has dropped down within it. Now the wall replica goes on through just a little bit. Not really necessary, but the second...
You gotta pad the stats.
Yeah, exactly. But the second Hex comes on through, and with that Shackle combination, he has to buy back. He doesn't have money for boosted travels, or does he?
Yeah, the game's over.
It doesn't matter. There is the Ancient falling, and in the end, Night Stalker comes out with a couple of buddies and go out to the bar and have a good time as they experience their victory. Radiant coming out on top in the very end. Took a very long time, but we finally got there. Switching over, you got the GPM checking out the kind of just telling the story. 535 Faceless Void GPM throughout 57-minute game. That adds up by far. And yeah, you had a lot on Shadow Fiend, but kind of the same thing that we saw last game. 2 carries versus 1. Now we're seeing Faceless Void and Night Stalker as a semi going up against the Shadow Fiend. And once you get that MKB, you can overcome the evasion and do what you need to do to drop him down. So that's what they did. And we'll play to the Radiant. Any closing thoughts on the game?
It was just good play by all the players. You know, very action packed. I think that the Night Stalker, while he kind of petered out, that's kind of what you expect, and he gave the Void a ton of room to farm in the early game. Like Void didn't have to do anything for 25 minutes, and I think if I had to go and pick an MVP, it would actually be the Night Stalker for just allowing the game to get to 57 minutes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Do you think Dagon 5 would have won it for them?
Yeah. I think Dagon 5 refresher on Shadow Demon, then maybe a Django.
A couple Djangos. All right. Well, thanks for casting me, man. This was a lot of fun. And this guy, everybody, this is Rainmaker. I've been just doing a co-casting tryout here, but it was a lot of fun. I'm Blaze casting, covering this Team Liquid in-house game, which has gone on for a full hour, very action-packed and a lot of fun. But thanks for doing this with me, man. This was a lot of fun. Yeah, dude, it was great. I don't know how you keep it up for an hour, man. Like, you should try 6.5. Go for a tournament. It's ridiculous, but. Yeah, well, thanks for doing it, and hopefully we can do some co-casting again in the near future. So yeah, dude, it was a lot of fun. Cheers, dude.